Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure having you tonight on Viewpoint, where we bring to you a debate on particular topics. But then, how has your day been? We are going to know that how it's going to end with our panels tonight. We are having Subiru Madina. She is a journalist. She'll be giving you her viewpoint, and we have Mange Venashus, our regular person on set. Good evening to you, Subiru Madina.
Good evening, Vanessa. Thank you for inviting me here once more.
It's our pleasure having you. Mange Venashus, welcome.
Thank you, Vanessa. Good evening, and good evening to our viewers at home.
In a moment, we will be taking the first part of the show, that is the yes or no question. Question number 1. Can the press in Cameroon be used to measure the level of democracy? I begin with you, Subiru.
Yes.
Yes. Mange Venashus?
No, Vanessa.
No. Question number 2. Given the reaction of Cameroonians concerning the uplifting of lockdown on drinking sports, are Cameroonians convinced of COVID-19? Subiru?
If any Cameroonian thinks he is convinced, it's a big no.
A big no. Mange Venashus?
Vanessa, they are not.
They are not. Question number 3. With reports from Tanzania, can we continue to trust testing kits from foreign countries? Subiru?
Any Cameroonian that will accept test kits of COVID-19 again is a fool. So my answer is no.
Her answer is no. She's being hard on Cameroonians. Mange Venashus, what do you say about that?
No, Vanessa, we should not.
No. And our last question for today is: the silence of the church during this coronavirus pandemic consoling? I begin with you, Mange Venashus.
Vanessa, it is not at all. No.
No. And Subiru?
No.
No. We will be right back in a moment for the debate. All right, our first question, we asked whether the press in Cameroon can be used to measure the level of democracy in Cameroon. But then, Subiru, we know that a free press or a healthy press is like a key mechanism to a good democracy. In Cameroon, can we say that is the case?
It is not the case.
It is not the case. But you said, yes, it can lead to actually, we can use it to measure the level of democracy in Cameroon.
Yes,
how manage?
I said we could use it to measure the level of democracy through the actions being carried out by not only the journalists but government officials. Because we are in a country where normally press freedom is supposed to be allowed, but it is the contrary. And then if we want to talk of press freedom, it is not only on in media organs like TV stations, radio stations, newspapers and all the like. We equally have the social media. And if I see people that are being condemned because they gave out an information which is, let's say, right, it's bad. It's true that we need to condemn people or journalists who spread out fake news. They should be condemned because fake news, I don't think fake news is allowed in any government that practices democracy. We should not allow that, because these are the types of information that go a long way to disrupt the how can I put it, the advancement of a country or of a particular continent, when fake news is already being used as a tool to put astray the younger generation. Then democracy here has been put to shame, as I can put it.
As you can put it, but given that the press is like the fourth arm of government in Cameroon, do you actually feel that they are playing a 100% role in promoting democracy? They are not free to report on aspects like corruption. They are not free to denounce certain government officials when it concerns aspects that is important to the citizens. So do we actually feel their presence?
We do not feel the presence of the government because they are always putting banana peelings for the pressmen to fall on. Why? Because if I, as a journalist, I know my rights, I know what is true, I know what is false, I think I have the right to say the truth. Someone said, say the truth and die for the truth. It's better that way. I think we are in a world or in a community where we need to stand only on the truth. You cannot say yes today and you are being pointed arms at and you decide to say no. If we, the pressmen in Cameroon, continue to stand on the truth together as one, I think we are going to conquer that government that is trying to put us banana peelings.
Thank you very much, Subiru Madina, for your contribution. Manke Venashus, you say no, the press in Cameroon cannot be used to measure the level of democracy.
Yes, Vanessa, there's always this one image that I keep in my memory. When I went to the School of Journalism the first week, there was an image that was shown to us to inform us that this is what we are getting into, and that image was a gun over a pen to tell us that there is always, you are going to face this kind of intimidation from the authorities over whatever you would have to write or say. And the situation in Cameroon is not far from that image that I still carry to today. We have journalists who are in prison today. And when we talk of democracy, measuring democracy, democracy should be that ability. Where democracy, there's a difference between freedom and and just saying what you feel like saying. No, when you are free, it means you are operating within the law. That is true. But then, what the government has succeeded in doing in Cameroon is to make sure that they take the press and the working conditions. Remember, just yesterday, the press in Cameroon, a majority of newspapers in Cameroon were on a strike action to demonstrate their negligence of government towards them on paid bills. That's what they said. Now, when you see what the government has succeeded in doing is making the press, the Cameroonian press, to be dependent on the political elite of the country. So much so that it is that political elite who dictates the pace at which the various press organs function in Cameroon. If you want to become a buoyant press, be a hand clapper for a particular politician or for some politicians, and you will be well known. Vanessa, there is no gainsaying the fact that there are occasions in Cameroon here that the press is not open to, but you find 2-3 media houses who are allowed to cover. That means media houses that will see in the same line with those who are promoting that or that event or that event generally. Mm-hmm. Yes. So when they don't leave others, it means they sideline them. They don't have the information. They would, and once you don't have the information, you are obliged to go off the track, say a different thing. Information in Cameroon is so classified, more than security information in this country, because they know that if they give you the real fact, you may expose their weaknesses. I'm talking of the managerial class. That is why they make sure that they give you what they want you to know. When you book an appointment for an interview with any official, especially those who are in the regions, they will tell you that I need the accord of my boss, the minister or director, before I can talk. What is your function if you are a regional director, if you are a regional delegate? What is your function in that region? If you cannot represent the ideas of your ministry in that region, you need them to call the minister. So journalist wants to talk to me about this. What should I say? The minister tells you what you should say. Is it that it is the minister who has what you should say, or you, the delegate, you don't know what was supposed to be said? So I think that the ruling class in Cameroon has succeeded to handle the press in such a way that they give the press what they want the press to give. They tell the press what they want the press to tell. And in that case, democracy, I don't think that we are not able, because when we define democracy as power to the people, by the people, for the people. Yes, I think that they should allow the press to be free. The press was supposed to be that organ that can cut across into the judiciary to find out, carry out an investigation with this judge, with this lawyer, with this magistrate, to get facts and then tell the people those facts. But once you get there, you are blocked, like she said, they throw banana peelings on on our path. It would become completely impossible for you to function. In that case, we cannot measure the level of democracy in this country. That is why we have journalists in prison, because they said something. It could be true that they said it.
Some are harassed, some are intimidated.
Some are intimidated just because you made a certain report. Maybe you spoke about this. No, you were not supposed to say this. If this minister will call you, there's this regular intimidation, and without this freedom. So democracy in Cameroon, we cannot use the press to measure democracy in Cameroon, because the press in Cameroon is not free. Unfortunately, that on the 3rd of this month of May, we were celebrating International Press Freedom Day. That freedom in Cameroon is still limping, Vanessa.
From your point of view, I actually get that for democracy to be transparent and effective, there is need for press freedom.
Actually, Vanessa, that's why when you get in a state like the United States, you see somebody ask the president. The president gives, in a press briefing or in a press conference, somebody ask a question and ask the president and ask. In this country, I doubt if I, as a journalist, you as a journalist, you can have that possibility to ask a question to the president of this country, because it is an opportunity that is given to very, very privileged few, if they exist, if there are many of them, that can ask such a question directly to the president. And if that should be the case, they will need you to do what we call an interview protocol first before you could even question the president.
And to add to it too, I think if the Cameroonian press has a unique system, that is, if they are all working together, this issue of press freedom is not going to be a problem for the Cameroon press. It's because we want to be on our own. This media organ wants to do his or her things his own way. We want to do our things our own way. We are not together. Reason why we have given all that liberty to the government to do whatsoever they like to do to the journalists. Because if we stand as one, on one mouth, I think no government is going to do anything to any journalist.
All right, let us now get into the global health pandemic plaguing the world. We are asking the question whether, given the reaction of Cameroonians concerning the uplifting of lockdown on drinking spots, are Cameroonians convinced that COVID-19 do exist?
They are not convinced. They are not convinced because I was shocked on seeing people celebrating because drinking spots have been opened or have been reopened and the hours extended. Because it's very aching to see fully grown-up men and women celebrating over nonsense. I call it nonsense because alcohol is going to do no good to them. Rather than seeing how they can protect themselves and their kids, they are celebrating over rubbish. And I can understand too why the government had to do this, because of people's businesses. Cameroonians were already shouting and throwing all sorts of words to them. They should not listen to that. Opening drinking spots is of no use today. People need...
What of the markets? What of the transport, the public transport sectors?
The public transport sectors, I think they should have remained on the fact that the number of passengers being carried in a particular vehicle should be maintained. As they said, 30 people in a 70-seaters bus. That one is good. Yes, that one is better. But totally allowing everybody to get into the bus is of no good. It is instead of more harm to the population. The population need face masks. Not everybody is capable of affording a face mask. The population needs potable water. They are asking people to wash their hands. Where is the water? The population needs soap. Even if they could distribute a cube of soap to each household, at least they have done something. But we go opening drinking spots, and you come to tell me that people are convinced. They are not. Some people, it's just that there are some neighborhoods I pass around and I get people saying, Aka, Does that corona even exist? The government is just trying to have its own share from the United Nations and so on and so forth. I am very shocked till date because people are not yet conscious of the fact that this disease is real and it can come to your house at any time. The fact that we should, or the population should be at drinking spots with their face masks on is no guarantee.
Respecting the distancing measures.
It is of no guarantee. Nightclubs, how will you respect the social distancing when people go on dancing? That cannot be respected. How can you be dancing with a mask on? How can you be drinking with a mask on or eating with a mask on in a public place? That is impossible. So that is just a way of making a mockery out of the population, as I can put it.
As you can put it. Manga Venasho, so you are supporting the viewpoint of Subiru Martina, but then the papers like Mutation this morning exhaustively spoke about this and observed that there is a drop in the wearing of face masks since these places were eased.
Because Cameroonians are not of the fact that coronavirus exists. Some, when they lifted, there were videos that circulated on social media platforms with Cameroonians dancing that they have announced that we can drink past 6 p.m. And the question I was asking was, it's like we are dancing that we have that the world has succeeded in, discovering a vaccine for coronavirus. A pandemic that is still very actively killing people, a pandemic that is still very actively infecting Cameroonians. The number keeps increasing on a daily basis, whereas we are happy that they have said we can now drink past 6 p.m. And the question I was asking is, do we really understand the meaning of that? When I read Le Jour newspaper yesterday, Le Jour newspaper was saying that government is asking Cameroonians to go and multiply your virus, because I would doubt the kind of drinking spots in this country, call it Douala, Yaoundé, wherever, where I am standing here, I have 1 meter to you, 1 meter to the person in front of me, 1 meter to my side, and 1 meter behind.
How spacious
that is the point.
it is.
That is the point, because nightclubs operate now from morning till morning, no problem. There's nothing disturbs. Even in off licenses, where do we sit in such type of 1 meter distances? How many tables do we even have? The tables, what is the dimension of the tables? That 2, 3 people, 5 people are sitting on it. And what you see, Cameroonians crowded on a very small table with a circumference that is not up to what, and then you find them. We're talking of because when I read the measures, I was asking my question, those who advise the government on these measures, do they read before it goes on air, before it is published? When they say drinking spots, restaurants and leisure areas have been opened, calling on the people to respect distancing measures, social distancing measures, and the wearing of face mask. It is just impossible that these are two things that cannot move together. You cannot expect somebody who is drunk to even think of a face mask. How would they think about a face mask? Wearing the face mask, how do you drink? You open and drink and then you close it. In the course of doing like that, if the virus was on the face mask, are you not going to inhale it? So the question we are saying here is, with this measure given, it has just confirmed what some Cameroonians said, like Madina was saying, that they are of the opinion that Cameroon government came up with this strategy of a virus because they wanted to have their own amount from the International Monetary Fund. Remember, the International Monetary Fund actually even this morning, yes, according to what was in the papers, have disbursed 135 billion francs CFA for Cameroon to fight the virus. And Cameroonians are saying that this is the money Cameroon was looking for. But the question I'm asking is, people are dying. They are not only dying in Cameroon. When you listen to what is the news that is coming from foreign countries abroad, France, Britain, Italy, you tend to ask whether we are aware of the gravity of what we are going to. And like somebody said in another group that we were discussing this morning, he said, the fight of this pandemic is no longer at the national level, it is now at the individual level. It is for me to know that I have the responsibility to preserve myself, preserve my family. But the question, Vanessa, is I can be doing that. I can't be struggling doing that. And then one careless person in my quarter will just contaminate everybody because he brings the virus from outside and gets the whole quarter contaminated. So the whole thing is, once we are doing this, Cameroonians need to understand that it is not there's nobody called the government. Because if it is the government, you will never see the president, Paul Biya, because wherever he is confining himself to make sure that he is free from this virus. Wherever the prime minister is, you see every meeting now is on video conferencing. But you and I, we are meeting, and then we deceive ourselves that the government is, who is the government? Are you not the government? So we should respect the fact that the virus is there. The virus is there. Wear your face mask and leave it. If the Cameroon government takes the money and you have preserved yourself, nothing would have happened. But if you neglect it, pretending that there is no virus, tomorrow you will die as they are dying. Those who are dying in America, those who are dying in France, Germany, Italy, they are not less sinners than you are. They are not less human than you are. They are human beings like you and I. So if such countries could have sophisticated hospitals and people are still dying that way, that's why the World Health Organization in emergency newspaper was saying this morning that African countries should not lift restrictive measures because the virus is still there.
It's still there, and other African countries are gradually lifting their measures as well. Our third question tonight tells us that with the reports from Tanzania, can we trust the testing kits from foreign countries? That is what has been making news of Subiru Madina over the weekend too, when John Magufuli, the president of Tanzania, actually came out with a long report saying that the test kits are not to be trusted. And you are actually supporting the fact that it should not be trusted.
Do you know why I'm smiling? I'm smiling because when I got this information on a Tanzanian website, I laughed, but at the same time I cried for Africa. I cried for Tanzania, because imagine a goat being tested of COVID-19. Pawpaw, this pawpaw we eat here, papaya, tested positive for COVID-19. So you see how far our mentalities are taking us. Our mentalities are taking us to the graves, because we do not think of ourselves. We are always expecting help from elsewhere. This is a proof that the test kits were contaminated for a reason. These guys have something against Africa, and they're doing everything possible to bring down Africa. They're making sure that nothing is left of Africa. How can test kits being given out for free to African countries, beginning with Tanzania? How can these test kits come to test positive for COVID-19?
And given that
how did that happen?
Other African countries must have received these test kits.
Yes, they've received them. Jacques Ma and the rest have been donating to Africa. Who knows? Maybe the ones they sent to Cameroon are carrying the same thing. So we should be very, very careful. I prefer to use my homemade mask. That is what I've been saying. I have no money to go and waste at any pharmacy to buy any medical mask. I prefer to use my homemade mask. There are many ways. There are tutorials everywhere on social media. I don't know why people are dying behind the face mask, because this is a trap that has been set for the Africans, and we should be careful. And I said, any African country that will continue receiving any kits, be it the preventive or the test kits from any European country, that African country is a fool. Because till date, I think only Tanzania's example, it's great enough to show us what these Europeans are up to.
Manga Venatius, you support the viewpoint of Subiru Madina. We are talking of Tanzania today. India reported a similar case, and it is likely said that the number of increasing cases is as a result of these fake test kits that are being contaminated. And
that pushed me to ask the question, that number is even fictitious, because we don't even know who is positive and who is negative. Because if we were to take for example a goat that was positive, it could at least hold some reasoning, because some remote theories said this virus originated from animals. So a goat being an animal, maybe it has blood. It could literally convince me some way. But you talk of a fruit. You take a fruit and extract the liquid from it, that liquid is positive. Just get a tree, is positive. Get the water from the sea, is positive. The question we ask is, who then is free from this virus? Vanessa, it is not only, because when I read this report from Tanzania, it is not only Tanzania, it's not only John Magufuli who came up with this. So about 3 weeks ago, India reported this issue, that the test kits that were being used, that came in from China, were not effective. That is, they will test this very patient with this test kit, and the test kit will say it is negative, and the very patient, because there's mass testing that was going on in India that some 2 weeks ago, the very patient, just the next testing poll, once he carries out the test, he is positive. So they tend to doubt why these two test kits are producing different results. So which is which? And that is why President Museveni of Uganda was also of the opinion that the statistics about the virus in his country are not real, they are fake. Because the Africans are coming to understand that. Vanessa, you know, when HIV/AIDS started, there are whites who came out on social media to confirm that we were on mission to Africa to spread HIV/AIDS. That is, they came to Africa to contaminate Africans with HIV/AIDS. With that, we are coming to conclude with what is coming from Tanzania, with what is coming from India, that the same pattern, we say in philosophy, 2 lines can make a straight line. 2 points can make a straight line. So, with what is coming from Tanzania, what is coming from India, it is very, very convincing and possible that most of those test kits, if I not to be exaggerated, to say all, are faulty. So that we should not trust it. This is an eye-opener for Africans to know that we should not depend on the Westerner, call it on the white man for everything. Because the white man has never had the interest of Africans at heart. If they come here and they are developing this road, they are developing the road to a mining spot where they want to go and extract their mineral from there and go. They don't want us to be developed. That is why they come up with all sorts of programs, the green card program. Any Tom and Dick cannot have that green card, because once they discover that you have nothing palpable to offer, nothing intellectual to offer, you would not have the card. They just see you with a bit of high IQ. You are winning that year and you are going out of the country. So Africans should know that we have to survive. At one point I was saying that this virus should be a blessing for Africa, because it has opened our eyes to know that this kind of friendship is a friendship with an interest. The white man has their interest. That is why we should not depend on them. Let us try to survive. Let's follow the example of Madagascar. Monsignor Samuel Kleda came out with his own here. Let us take it. Whether you are tested or not, just consume the drug. And if you are positive, it cures it. If you are not positive, it does no harm.
All right.
Rather than testing.
With you, let us take our last question for today. We are asking whether the silence of the church during this coronavirus pandemic consoling. Magavenashus, when it came to the Anglophone crisis, we saw men of church, heads of church, they came out, even the church itself, they criticized the fact that something needs to be done to restore peace in Cameroon in general.
Yes, because they say it is human life, they are killing people. It is still same. We are talking of human life still being, perishing with this virus.
But they have been silent.
The church has been silent, so silent, Vanessa. And when we say the church has been silent, the way I was looking at it is this same church. I don't want to go into factions, which of the church, no matter as it is something that talks of in God's name is a church. These same churches have been preaching healing. They have been healing people from AIDS. They have been healing people from Ebola. They have been healing people from leprosy, epilepsy. They have been healing people from all sorts of illnesses. Do we tend to say that the coronavirus is above God? I listened to a Nigerian pastor who came out and was saying that this virus, he is going to China to abolish the virus in the name of Jesus. And just about 2-3 weeks, the news came out that the pastor himself was infected. And another pastor came out and gave a certain 27th of a certain month. I don't know, it was February or March, something like that. March 27th. We are coming to get to another 27th. The virus is still increasing. So I think that men of God, some churches, Vanessa, when we say they are silent, it means we would have been expecting them to also go in to maybe these isolation centers and pray for divine intervention. But they still tell us that distance is not barrier, which means from their various temples and churches, they can still pray for healing into those isolation centers, I think they should carry out healing sessions in their churches to make sure that this virus is controlled. Because if the church teaches us that there is no situation above God, if the church teaches us that the name of Jesus everything would bow, I think that this virus, coronavirus, should also bow at the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, so that we at least save mankind. Vanessa.
All right, your concluding word before we get to take the viewpoint of Subiru.
Vanessa, if I'm concluding, it's just simply to tell on Cameroonians that fight the virus as if it were a personal issue. You are alone faced with coronavirus. If you allow the government to fight for you, there is nobody called government. Fight the virus at a personal level and say, I would not have this virus. This virus will not pass through me to my family, through me to my colleague, through me to my neighbor. And with that, I think that Cameroon will be able to walk past this trying moment. Vanessa.
Subiru, your take on our last question for today. You see that the silence of the church is not consoling.
It's not consoling, because if some of these churches that usually claim to resurrect the dead are hiding today, that means the coronavirus is more than them. And I pray that when the coronavirus is over, they should not show their faces, because they have been defeated by coronavirus. This is the time we should have been seeing them from one place to another, seeing how to eradicate this stuff. But coronavirus has dealt with them. There is no way for them to say any word. Even those who claimed to say coronavirus was to finish at the date of a certain month. Till date, we are still with coronavirus. Where are they? And some people said, why the opening of bars and not the opening of churches? You can still pray in your home, I beg. So I think coronavirus has come to teach us a lesson, and it has opened our eyes. As Venashu said, I think we should be more vigilant than ever before. And this is the time, like I said the last time, this is the time that Africa needs to come as one to fight this issue together.
All right. Thank you very much for being part of us tonight.
Thank you too, Vanessa.
Manga Venashus, hope to see you tomorrow again.
A pleasure will be mine, Vanessa.
A pleasure having you tonight also for the program Viewpoint. But then, know that coronavirus is real, and be your own self-protective agent. Wait on no one, wait on nobody for survival. Until we meet again, do take care and stay blessed while you enjoy information in the company of DBS Television.